Michelle puts her engagement ring and apartment keys on the table and leaves after a quarrel with her fiancé. She stops at a petrol station after driving across the countryside for a while and discovers an automobile that has been pursuing her for a while. Michelle doesn't want to talk and switches on the radio when her fiancé calls late at night to attempt to persuade her to come back. A news story about severe power disruptions reaches her ears. She is distracted and has an accident. Michelle passes out as the car repeatedly flips over and crashes onto the side of the road. She awakens in a concrete chamber after a while. She has an four attached to her arm, and metal chains are used to bind and bandage her leg. Her possessions are stacked in the room's corner. Michelle grabs her phone off the four stand, but there's no reception. Then the door opens and a big man puts a tray of meals in front of her as she hears footsteps. The man promises her he won't let her die, despite her pleas for him to let her go and her assurance that she won't tell anyone. He leaves the key to her shackles behind and leaves. Michelle prepares to battle for her freedom by releasing herself, dressing, and sharpening the end of a crutch. However, the man has left. She pushes a piece of clothing into the ventilation duct after setting it on fire. When the fire alarm sounds, the man rushes in and gives her an injection, which makes her faint. Michelle finds the man seated next to her bed as she comes to. She's truly incredibly fortunate to be there, he assures her. Although the nature of the attack is yet unknown, they're in a bunker under his farm presently. He couldn't let her die after witnessing her crash. Michelle insists on calling the police, but the man explains that the outside world is contaminated. Michelle asks to contact her family, but the man assures her that everyone left on the surface is dead. A loud noise comes from the other room as Michelle tries to comprehend what she has heard. After yelling at someone and leaving, the man comes back and strongly tells her that she should thank him for saving her life. He identifies himself as Howard before he departs. A noise from the surface wakes Michelle the following morning, and she notices the door open. A young man who was asleep in the corridor is awakened by her exit. She explains that she doesn't accept Howard's lies when he tries to reassure her. Emmett, however, affirms that everything is exactly as Howard stated. Later, Howard shows Michelle the bunker. In the center is a communal area where a special system filters the air. Access to Howard's personal room is forbidden. Michelle has to use the toilet behind a curtain because Howard fears she might try something dangerous again. Howard asks her to join him for lunch at the table after the tour. When Michelle spots a pile of women's magazines, Howard tells her that Megan, who is no longer with them, is the owner. Michelle thinks it might be a car going by when she hears a sudden commotion outside, but Howard tells her that's not possible. He has had enough of stating that nobody is left above. He gives Michelle an opportunity to witness for herself by guiding her up a stairway. At the top, Michelle sees a door with a small window. The outside world looks changed at first glance, but in the pen in front of the house lie dead pigs with deep sores. Howard explains that those were his pigs, which he couldn't save. Then Michelle recognizes his car as the one that had been following her the night of the accident. Howard points out that these doors are always locked and shows her the key. Michelle and Emmett talk about it later. Howard had been in the Navy, Emmett reveals. He later purchased the property and employed Emmett to assist with the household duties. Howard constructed the bunker because he is a conspiracy theorist. Emmett was not abducted. Instead, as Michelle reminds him that Howard was the one who brought her here and caused the tragedy. Emmett, however, maintains she is mistaken. The fact that he arrived at the bunker before Howard sealed the entrance makes him happy. Michelle tries to refute Howard's claims, unaware that he's been standing in the doorway, listening to their conversation. Howard invites them to dinner, remarking that the two seem to have gotten along well. Howard gets annoyed by the chatter, and Michelle flirts with Emmett, provoking Howard's outburst of anger. He yells at her, demanding respect because he saved her life. While Howard is scolding them, Michelle manages to steal the keys from his belt. Michelle smacks him over the head with a bottle as he rushes for the bunker exit, but before he can respond, a disturbance from above diverts his attention. Michelle arrives at the entrance and enters the airlock before Howard can catch up, despite Emmett's yell for her to stop. Michelle notices a vehicle driving toward the farm. While she screams to gain the driver's attention, a woman with a serious skin ailment rushes to the window and begs to be allowed into the bunker. Howard says it's too late to save the woman, therefore Michelle is not allowed to assist her. Michelle goes back to the bunker after realizing that there has been an attack of some kind. Although Michelle's accident spared her life, Howard later acknowledges that he was the cause of it. Howard sends her to take a shower and lends her some of Megan's clothes. He discloses that he identified the diseased woman as his old neighbor since she was close to the door. Others might visit here as well. As Howard continues to tell anecdotes, Michelle starts to suture his wound and compliments her on her work. He asks her about her life after bringing a box filled with her possessions from the car. Michelle acknowledges that she formerly had aspirations of working as a fashion designer. In response, Howard reveals that his daughter Megan had expressed a desire to pursue a career in art. He shows Michelle a photo of a little child named Megan and complains that her mother turned against him after his divorce and took her to Chicago. Howard laments that no one seems to care about their safety, but at least he made an effort to keep them secure. Michelle is later consoled by the Emmett, who informs her that she was unable to save the woman outside. She would have perished even if they had allowed her entry. They think back on their previous incarnations. The Emmett, who had received a scholarship to a polytechnic, acknowledges that he was afraid and never went. Michelle, on the other hand, describes how her father abused her, making her lifelong fear of conflict. The three of them start to get along fairly well over the course of the following several days. They cook together, play games, and try in tiny ways to fit in with their new lives. One day, a loud noise echoes from above. Howard suggests that if it's the military, it's not Earth's military. The flashes they saw earlier were just the first phase. Now the second phase, clearing out the territories, has begun, likely by alien forces. The air filtering system abruptly stops working. Since Michelle is the only person small enough to fit through the ventilation shaft, Howard asks her to do so in order to restart the system. She crawls into the ducts after agreeing. She eventually makes it to the filtration unit and restarts it, but not before noticing something unsettling: a bloodied earring resting beneath a ladder and a word scratched into the glass that says help. The earring is a perfect replica of the one Megan wore in the picture Howard showed her. Michelle is shaken and shares her discovery with the Emmett since she believes Howard may have harmed Megan. Upon closer examination, the Emmett identifies the girl in the picture as Brittany, a classmate of his sister who vanished years ago, rather than Megan. Another picture from the book shows Howard and Brittany standing together in the bunker, both wearing the same outfits Michelle currently wears. Michelle and the Emmett make the decision to organize an escape after realizing how dangerous they are. They begin gathering supplies in silence. They nearly give themselves away one evening during a game of charades when Howard begins to think something is wrong. Several days later, Howard summons them into a room and displays a barrel of hydrochloric acid, claiming it is for disposing of rubbish. After exposing the instruments they had concealed for their escape, he accuses them of conspiring against him. As Michelle and the Emmett watch in horror, Howard gets so angry, he melts the tools in the acid. The Emmett accepts responsibility for the attempted escape. Howard shoots and murders the Emmett icily after apparently accepting his apology. Shocked and heartbroken, Michelle watches as Howard calmly reassures her, promising that no one will ever harm her again. He begins taking care of her, offering her ice cream and talking about how they'll create a happy life together in the bunker. Michelle mourns the Emmett and races to finish her biohazard suit, determined to get out. Howard, however, finds the outfit among her possessions one evening. Although Michelle eludes him, Howard catches up and chastises her for her lack of thanks. A fire starts in the bunker as Michelle, in a desperate attempt, knocks the acid barrel onto Howard. As the badly wounded Howard tries to assault her, she snatches her biohazard suit, crushes him beneath a large shelf, and heads for the door. The bunker is now completely enveloped in flames, and the fire is growing quickly. Howard tries to stab Michelle through the vent grates, but she avoids him and crawls through the ventilation shaft. When she gets to the air filtration room, she puts on her biohazard suit right away. She eventually escapes the bunker by using a can of nitrogen to freeze and shatter the lock on the outer door. Michelle shreds her suit as she makes her way outside to a car. In a panic, she uses duct tape she finds in the car to seal the rip. She's ready to unwind when she spots a group of birds soaring freely overhead. Michelle takes off her gas mask, recognizing that the air is not poisonous. Before she can rejoice, though, she notices an extraterrestrial spacecraft that appears to be a live thing floating in the distance. Michelle looks on with dread as the alien ship notices the bunker exploding behind her. Despite her desperate efforts, she's unable to locate the automobile keys. The alien is alerted by the automobile alarm that goes off as she rushes to the vehicle of the woman who attempted to enter the bunker earlier. Michelle, terrified, hides in a neighboring shed and discovers the diseased woman's body there. As the alien creature starts exploring the shed and attempting to break through the animal door, Michelle searches the body and finds the car keys. Michelle takes advantage of the alien's confusion and runs in Howard's direction. But just as she gets there, a toxic vapor is released by the alien ship as it glides overhead. Michelle survives the chemical attack after putting on her gas mask in a flash. The alien starts exploring the car and testing its defenses while she hides inside. The alien ship raises the car into the air when it is evident that it is too challenging to breach. Michelle discovers a lighter and a bottle of flammable liquid inside the vehicle. She hurriedly prepares a Molotov cocktail and tosses it into the aperture that resembles the mouth of the alien ship. The automobile crashes to the ground and the alien is destroyed by the ensuing explosion. After surviving the fall, Michelle exits the shattered car and takes off in the woman's vehicle. She listens to news broadcasts about humanity's triumphs over the extraterrestrial invaders while she drives. Survivors are being told to escape, and people with military or medical training are being asked to get to Houston. Michelle sees a sign directing people to Houston as she pauses to hear the entire phrase. Determined to assist, she drives in that direction. She sees an even bigger alien ship towering in the sky as lightning flashes.